Hey everybody, welcome back to X's for Show, your favorite show where we react to all the best media. I'm Nico, and you can check me out at Nico Action. That's NicoAction.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
And that makes me your producer, Kevo. You can find me at Kevo Really. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we know what you want us to cover in the future. But we've got a bit of a plan today, don't we?
Oh, do we ever?
So we love TV. We love long-standing tradition TV. We love heavy continuity. And this guy over here, TK, he was like, "Why aren't you watching Grey's Anatomy?"
Hold on. That's not what I was like at all. No. That is, you've already started us off on the wrong foot. I
believe I was trying to make a palatable, enjoyable version where everybody was likable, but sure.
What I had said was, I watch Grey's Anatomy, and I have been since the beginning. It is terrible. I have put hours of my life into this thing that is not good, that is getting me nowhere, and don't watch it. But if you were to, here are all the things it relates to that we constantly talk about, and you would not believe the parallels between this thing and that thing. But again, I can't stress enough, this has been 20 plus years of my life that I cannot get back, and I'm not saying to do that. But if you did, we'd have a lot to talk about, but I'm not saying to do it, but you could, and I'd know what you were doing, is how the conversation went.
Something like that.
So now that I just got actually, I want to chime in with that. I do understand that nobody made me watch this with a scalpel to my appendix.
I also don't ever want to be put on record as having said anybody should watch any show besides maybe How to Get Away with Murder from the Shondaland oeuvre.
Well, and I completely appreciate and respect that. I was more just playfully saying that this is one of those cultural things that I took a little bit longer to get to. Kevo, though, I think you had more interaction with Grey's Anatomy than I did early on.
Yeah, I was a beginner. I remember watching from the very beginning, and I watched through probably into the fourth season, but not very far, if that. It was a cultural juggle-nopter, and it's been really funny and interesting to rewatch now, almost 20 years later, and think about all of the things that were huge then. We have contributor Tori Sheen in the chat saying, "Pick me, choose me, love me." And I was so stunned to find how early in the run that is. It actually technically would have been in the original first season finale had the last few episodes not been held over into season 2. But that means this line, which is one of the most iconic things that Grey's Anatomy is memorable for, was in the first 13 episodes of the show, and people still remember this line. So rewatching the early seasons especially and branching into new stuff has definitely been very exciting.
And one of the things that I do kind of think about is that I did kind of push the show away. I did not enjoy it my first time watching it when I was, 18 years old. And it even still is kind of like in some ways a little too dramatic for its own good. But more specifically, I don't have like the patience for dramatic, terrible people in my real life if I can avoid it. And without knowing the plan on this, without being able to look back and say that it's 20 years, it's not hard to look through the annals of history and find a TV show that after 5 successful seasons very quickly turned downward and was gone by season 7. So, waiting to come to Grey's was definitely necessary for my ability to trust it. But TK, you've been watching straight through, right?
I have been watching since the very first episode. I remember sitting in my college dorm in Water Street my sophomore year, watching the premiere.
Wow.
That's amazing. And all right, well, we're here to rank predominantly the doctors of Grey's Anatomy, but we're also going to throw in Private Practice, the spinoff. One of the things that's really exciting about talking about Private Practice is even in the age of Lost and Desperate Housewives, while Grey's Anatomy was certainly as successful as they were, and in many cases they would all kind of take turns trading what was ABC's Crown scripted jewel. But the kind of drama of giving this show a spin-off so early, I think that's something that we don't really see talked about the same way now, because they're always trying to make so many franchises. But Private Practice really did represent something significant, being a spin-off in the infancy of Grey's Anatomy.
Well, and this is just such a different era. This is the last years of a very different era, but this was all before streaming was a thing. I mean, this show has a couple of web series, but they're very, I mean, like, I did my master's thesis basically on web series. All of this was before Netflix. So, like, your access to these shorts that they would do for The Office, for Grey's Anatomy, for all the popular shows was so limited compared to what you have with streaming now. I mean, it was limited compared to broadcast even.
Yeah.
And so it was from such a different era where, I mean, the numbers on this show were absolutely insane compared to the numbers that shows get today. And I think it absolutely made sense in 2007 to say, you know, people love it, just do another one. But it's been very interesting to look at a show like Station 19, which started season 17 of Grey's, season 15, late in the game, after Netflix, after shows like Stranger Things and House of Cards, you know, after the proliferation of so many other networks. But I mean, the numbers just never compared, and yet it still got 5 seasons, I think 4 or 5 seasons. So, like, you know, it's interesting because Grey's for me has always been a really great parallel to the serial storytelling of comic books. I think part of the reason I did push a little bit for you guys to watch it and was really enthusiastic about it is because I'm having like kind of like a working through some stuff with comics and with serial storytelling and just long form like lore of shows. And it's been very interesting to watch a show like Grey's transition into an entirely new era of like just how we broadcast and evolve over time. And it's been really fascinating now to go back to these first few seasons and just kind of see how different things are. Like Kevo, as you pointed out, so much of the iconography of Grey's Anatomy comes from the first few seasons, and yet even if you take it to like season 6, which is where I think there start to be some really big shifts where, you know, a lot of the main cast are gone and new people come in, that's still not a third of the show. So like many of the traditions and the stories and the long standing this is what's up should come from later, and a lot of it does, but like, you know, the legendary musical that we've been teasing Nico about, I'm going to spoil this one for you right now. All of the songs are from so early on. And a lot of the people that sing them were not present for their very important moments when the song aired. Because those were the songs that people think of when they think Grey's Anatomy. But like by the time they actually get to singing them, there's entirely different stuff going on.
Yes, that is something I'm noticing, that as we are getting into later seasons, it's less about the iconic soundtrack. There are less songs like where I'm like, oh yeah, that was a big deal. Yeah.
Well, I can't think of a better thing to do than to jump into ranking these doctors, starting with the big deal doctors right from the beginning. Folks, you guys can play along at home. We have this wonderful tier maker. You guys are more than able to check out this incredible this way to play along, and very exciting to get to play along with you guys for this game. So let's take a look at some of the big doctors. Let's start with Meredith Grey herself, the main character.
I mean, come on, this has got to be an answer. So here's actually a very important question that I guess only applies to me. I have to rank them according to how they were in seasons 1 through 5, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that is exactly what we're going for. So this can't be like 6 through 20 Meredith.
Right.
This is
because I'm going to be hundo P honest with you. If we were doing later, Meredith would probably be an A. I think at this point, she's still S tier to me.
I think she makes for an interesting main character. I think that one of the things that she provides is sort of plainness, and like that's not necessarily a dig at Ellen Pompeo, but they do purposefully kind of wash her out and make her pale, and she's a little bit less blossomed and gorgeous and amazing than some of the other characters early on, especially. And I think when it's a coming of age, that's kind of the point. But it does mean that oftentimes we're just sort of looking at her and identifying her and reacting to her in whatever way we can. Because she's an every woman.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they point out specifically, like, Izzy was a model. Like, the whole point is that despite the fact that she's sexy and gorgeous and, like, the it girl, specifically Meredith is not the most beautiful of the bunch. And I always thought that was an interesting way to start things off.
I also am still always so blown away by how much, at least from my perspective, Ellen Pompeo was such a relative unknown.
Yeah.
I'd seen a lot of these other people in things, or at least they were more seasoned actors, and she really carried that every woman role so well. And I think that is a huge part of what made the show so insanely popular, is she's not invisible in the role, but you can easily place yourself over her. I don't know, maybe I felt it more back then, but I'm watching this and I'm like, Dark and Twisty Meredith is just kind of mediocre. Maybe it was the time. Maybe at the time, just like I Had a One Night Stand was still that edgy in 2005, that we thought she was this insane person. But that was part of what was throwing me while we were doing this watch. I was just very, she's not as edgy as I feel they frequently tell us. She's just kind of grumpy and kind of difficult, and that's not quite the same thing. I don't know. I think I'm fluctuating between an A or a B right now.
I think I'm going to give her an S, but specifically because so much of the show is focused through her. They do their worst to her as much as possible. And I know bad stuff happens to Christina, bad stuff happens to George, but like, talk to me when it's called George's Anatomy. No, that's spilled out on the floor later.
Don't talk about that.
Yeah.
But and I one of the other things that I think, you know, we're kind of hinting at it here, but we're not really getting into it just yet, is that I think when we're talking about a lot of these characters, we're talking about people who would use the word Nazi playfully while also trying to make an undercurrent powerful statement of how we have an Asian woman who is also of Jewish descent. But then we have the Asian woman of Jewish descent using her Jewish heritage as a punchline while joking about how a black woman who has fought to achieve the limited power she has is a Nazi. And then that's why they purposely put that to bed when they do the surgery on the white supremacist, and she literally says, "Now none of you better ever call me a Nazi ever again."
But even that is after almost 100 episodes. So yeah, exactly.
And I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Well, so Meredith's been through a lot. She's gone through a lot, and she's transformed a bit.
So is that S for you?
Yeah, I think she's an S.
Cool. I gave her an S.
I'll just go with the rest of the crowd. My thing's not working.
That's okay. It always resets after a second.
So one of the things that they really sought to do was give Meredith a crew of people to get her through these early days that I think are designed to make her story more interesting. Something that I find a lot when you're working on books is you're always like, or stories or characters, you're always trying to make the people that you surround your main character with really interesting. And sometimes you can accidentally drown out your main character. But something that they do with Meredith, and I'm sure people are going to disagree with me, but I think they tend to keep Meredith a little bit more likable than they keep some of the other characters. Like I think Christina does become pretty fully toxic pretty often, and that's something they talk about, that she's the first person to insult someone else, that she's the first person to call somebody else terrible, but that she can't handle it. and she shuts down if you call her terrible. So it's really interesting that I think Christina is an S character, but I don't always S like her.
I gave her an A, and again, it was actually Christina that I was kind of asking about, because after season 6, she becomes an S tier character. For me, it's Yang's Anatomy a lot of the time. But it does take a minute, and it does take some growth. They give her one storyline that really bothers me, her reaction to like a personal life thing that I just think was just really over dramatic writing. Like, we can't ever forget that this is still a primetime soap, and just sometimes that's what happens. But other than that, she is an A, because there has to be a way to go up and make her an S, make her a really interesting character. And so it means you do, especially early on, go through a lot of times where you're like, if you are so smart and you know that like bedside manner is part of being a doctor, even being a surgeon, you cannot be this horrible.
And that is one of the things that I think happens a lot with these early characters. They go to some pretty horrible places, and most of them kind of lighten up, like Christina lightens up. Karev does not. Karev will continue to be terrible as a human being throughout most of the show. But like I said, I don't think she behaves S all the time, so I'm going to have to give her an A.
Love it.
I think I am going to bump her down a little bit more than you boys. I think because I frequently feel like Christina should... I don't know. I feel like Nico said something, and I can't remember if it was early this season or if it was at the end of last season, but just the feeling that Christina still isn't getting a lot of things. She really still is like the least mature of them. In some ways, it's her and Karev, but the fact of the matter is, Karev's not a person that you should be in competition for as the least mature person in this scenario. And go ahead.
It's a funny thing. They address it more on Scrubs, where they talk a few times about how, and actually I think Callie will say something about it maybe later in the show, or maybe it's already happened, but just about how they are so focused on being doctors, they never really figured out how to be people. And I think that's really what they're trying to go with Christina, but because she has such good chemistry, because Sandra Oh has such good chemistry with everybody, they keep putting her places, but then she has to be Christina in the places, and they don't ever take the time to really talk about why she is the way that she is.
I'm seeing it get better. Like we started season 6 because we just kept going. But one of the things that I don't necessarily think that's happening is a clear delineation outside of cast changes. They do become slightly finger puppets. They do kind of just dance the dance that they're told to dance. But so Kevo, what did you say you gave Christina a B, you said?
Yeah, because I still really enjoy her, and I can't tell how much of that is just Sandra Oh, but even then, that's a huge element. And so I really enjoy a lot of her performance. I love a lot of what she brings, and I love the moments when she shines, but I just can't really give her an S.
So I think Izzy's kind of a C. I just think she's a big bummer. I don't like, yeah, it is hard for me because I grew up this way and am so beautiful that everybody expects me to like, I don't know. And it's going to sound really stupid, but I don't accept that from other lines. I accept that, I guess, from a beautiful blonde doctor who used to be an alien or whatever, but I don't accept that from a person that is meant to actually be my doctor. I think Izzy is so unprofessional. She's cutting LVAD wires like a Moyle cutting foreskins. She is just a monster. And like, I actually think of this a little bit differently than other people do. I think Karev is coded female in how he's passed around sexually because he's always discarded. I actually think that Izzy is kind of the more mean slut, use you up man. Like, I don't think she's coded female in that.
Interesting. And you know, another thing I see about that is that she's also frequently the object of desire in a very like kind of similar to Derek. Like she's kind of dreamy to the boys, which is why everybody ends up wanting to be with her.
She has that, and these are my tits, and this
Yeah.
is me in a thong. Do you like seeing me in a thong? Here's me in a thong. Look at my thong. Oh my god.
I gave her a D. I really hate Izzy. I really thought when I was rewatching it with you guys, and like particularly when I was literally rewatching it with you at your house, that I would maybe mellow out on her. But I'm very angry at everything about her storyline, and I have to include the updates in season 18. But even how she leaves in season 6, I just don't like. Cutting the LVAD wire was such a fucked up thing that like is insane and unprofessional and goes, I mean, like the show, it's, you know, it's sci-fi fantasy medical drama, obviously, like, but that's one of those things where they're like, in a real hospital, if you are unpleasant some of the time, they consider firing you. Like, it's just not an environment where you can do these things. And I forgive a lot, but that's insane. That is just absolute nonsense. And then from there, like, her need to be really... like the Thanksgiving episode, the episode where she's doing games for the interns, her need to like make cards and do fun stuff, and everybody should smile because that's what we need. Something about it I find so relentlessly terrible. The character was done dirty. Katherine Heigl is a great actor, and I really don't feel like this was a great direction to go in with her, but since it is the direction, I have to identify it as what it is, and it's a D for me.
I love that you brought up that one personality trait of hers, because something that I enjoyed about that part of Izzy's personality is that actually is also Isabel Evans. That's how close they are on Roswell. She was also very type A personality. Like a lot of this character is just Isabel from Roswell, which I thought was so fascinating. And now so far away from both of those roles, I'm fascinated by how close together they were. She was called the Christmas Nazi on Roswell because her character was so obsessed with Christmas. So when Bailey is called the Nazi, my friends and I, who came in because of Katherine Heigl from Roswell, were like, oh, all of these connections. Like, but that's the thing, too. We were 20 when this show started. We were 21 almost. So when we were watching this love story between Izzy and Denny, we were breathtaken by it, sure. But now that I'm almost 40, I'm like, how were other almost 40-year-olds watching this and thinking it was this amazing story? Like, I don't know what she saw in him. And all of this, like, and it was just such a weird story, but it's one of those, it was, again, one of those cultural moments. It's why you hear the word LVAD come out so much over the next several seasons, because that was a moment for the show. And I love that it, again, we're talking about these full seasons, at least so far, so spoilers, but like when she's getting fired toward the end of her arc, and she's like, I cut Danny's LVAD wire and you didn't fire me. In front of other people. I was like, this is why you're getting fired.
In front of HR!
Yes.
I want to point out that as we're going through this, if Meredith is Kwame, and I guess Christina would be Linka because she's a little bit more aggressive. I guess that would make Izzy Gee. Karev is definitely the Wheeler. And yes, obviously that makes George the Mati. Or maybe he's the monkey. I don't know. But they're the Planeteers, and when they put their powers together, they form.
Oh my god, I don't know their names. I don't know.
Kwame, Gee, Linka, Wheeler, Mati.
I don't know.
Wheeler is fire.
Yeah,
he's the redhead with the bad attitude.
Wind, water,
and it's heart. You would think I would love it, but no, it just was never on when I could watch it. So I'm with you now.
And by that I mean, like, he was always the character you expected would be the one lured to the dark pollution-based powers that would always be more powerful than Captain Planet for 2 seconds. So I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to move on too fast. I know we have a lot of people to get through, so I'm just
that's okay. We're good.
So
I'm gonna go with C to be nice.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Karev is garbage. And like, he's always garbage. He's just not a cool dude. I don't like him. And I don't like being told that a guy who obviously would play the lead in a spousal abuse story, I don't mean this actor, I mean Karev. Karev would obviously be the male lead in a spousal abuse storyline. Don't tell me that it's hard for him because his dad was hard and his mom was hard and he likes crazy ladies that pee on the couch. Don't tell me that he deserves an A for that. I think he is a D, but the reason I'm going to give him a C is because I know that he must have been healing for some real 3 doors down types who really felt like losers and kryptonite and wanted to be like that.
I don't know. That might have led to incels, so maybe that actually lowers him even further. And because you say you feel like he could play that role. No, he did play that role. He threatened to hit Izzy and called her a stupid bitch because he was protecting crazy Ava who peed on their couch. Their couch, because they lived in the same home. So
I just want to say that
he peed on Izzy's couch.
When my dog peed on the couch, I didn't pick him over my friends.
Ugh. So yeah, no, I don't know. I think, you know, and he's interesting because I compared him to Christina earlier in terms of, you know, not really a lot of growth, but he is definitely worse because it felt like so many times they show him having growth and then he is like right back where he started, which is pretty terrible considering the growth they frequently give him. A lot of the stuff that he did in reaction to Izzy after getting married, fucking bizarre for that character at that point.
I gave him a B because I enjoy the roller coaster. I think it is fun and funny. I think I love the terrible decisions that he makes. And I hate the terrible decisions that he makes. I find that he can at least give me really interesting relationships with other characters. I think Izzy, the relationship with Izzy is so toxic and terrible, and it results in some really bad stuff for both of them. Just that shouldn't happen. But like his relationship with Addison, his relationship with Arizona Robbins, like he really is an interesting character for how he interacts with the other doctors. And I don't know. I love to hate him and I hate to love him. So it all kind of comes to an average.
I do get that. I think I'm still going to give him my D though.
As you should. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending him.
Karev the D.
Yeah,
precisely. Right? Exactly. I mean, that's why I chose this picture. I tried to pick one that was especially handsome, just to be calm.
Yeah.
Whereas this one I did not try.
Yeah, I want to say that there's this scene where Eric Dane legitimately, after, because, you know, end of season 5, make it pretty clear George is about to die. And after he does, there's this scene where Eric Dane's character, Sloane, turns to Lexi Gray, who has had sex with George, and is like, George pulled so many unbelievably hot women into his bed. Was he like super hung or something? And here's what I've decided. They tell us that he gave so many women vaginal miasma or vaginismus or vagimisme, whatever they had, because he fucked them till they were like full of sores or whatever and broke them.
Do they actually say this?
He actually has too much sex with Callie to the point where her vagina hurts.
Okay.
And they then use that storyline on Private Practice, where several people have vaginal miasma or whatever.
Vaginismus, yes.
But like specifically,
that's made up too.
When George is like, hey, Callie's like, no, George, I can't have sex with you more. I think one of the things that George has, whether it is through size, stamina, or sheer excitement, George early on, and TR Knight's a handsome man, but they made George look like, that's literally the exact same hamburger that that's literally the exact same haircut that Starbuck has in the first season of Battlestar, where I say she looks like she's wearing the top of a McBurger.
I was gonna say it does look like a hamburger on his head. You were right.
Yeah, they look like hamburger people.
I just pity George. I pity him because I've been George. We've all been George. We all have liked George. But he's a B. He's a big sad bummer B.
For me, he was a C. I think everything you said is correct. I went a little lower with it. I do, my favorite version of this storyline is one of very few that I like from Game of Thrones, where it turns out that Podrick Payne, who is Squire for Peter Dinklage's character, they give him money to go to the whorehouse, and he comes back with the money, and he says that nobody charged me. And it's just a very subtle that he's great at lovemaking. They never establish if it's because he has a huge dick or because he's really good. They just loved him there, and that's it. And it's this really funny, cute moment. But the whole point is that if nothing else, Podrick is such a great lover that at the whorehouses they don't charge him. And it's a nice little moment that just establishes that this character has that going for him. And they never bring it up again. It's not like a constant joke. It's just a thing that happens in one scene. And you can see that they're obviously going to go in that direction at a certain point with George, because they've humiliated him one too many times and he can't be this pathetic. But then it does kind of become the thing of well, you wouldn't believe, and these constant jokes, and the fact that he then has the weird relationship with Izzy. I don't know.
Oh my God.
They try to establish that George is as great as he is flawed. Miranda loves him like no other. He does really ultimately prove to be a great doctor, but I do think it sort of says something about the flopness of the character that they sent him out on. He quits so he can join the army and never makes it because he is hit by a bus.
Such a weird note to send the character out on.
It really is, because they could, it is so plausible that somebody would join the army and not return to the hospital where they worked years before that. So he could have just left and not been heard from again. Other characters leave and are not heard from again for completely normal reasons. But they didn't badmouth the show publicly repeatedly. I know. This show is very vengeful with its deaths, and it's a bummer because I just don't think this had to be one of those. But here we are. Character never got to do anything, and so he's a C.
Yeah, I think I might only bump him up to B, just because when he was good, and I appreciated that. But yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well, while that failed to fetch, our next character is quite fetch, and she's always going to happen. Bailey is a big ol' S for me. I think she is so great. One of the things that makes Bailey such a great character is that she is exciting to interact with. She's a little different than you expect, whether it's the deep sci-fi love or it's the ability to turn down a kiss from Taye Diggs over on Private Practice in the next season. And I just want to say, you cannot love Taye Diggs or his character, but he is literally the guy that got Stella her groove back in the 90s. Taye Diggs. Right now, Taye Diggs. So, S.
Yeah, absolutely an S. And I mean, the whole point of the character is that she's an S. It's a fantastic character archetype that one of the really exciting things about the show is that it does go on for now 21 seasons, where Chandra Wilson has been there the whole time and has been brought low in storylines and really been vulnerable and really been at her worst. And I think it's never in question that she is still an S-tier doctor at that hospital, an S-tier character on the show, and that there is a difference between your worst day and sort of what you bring to the table over your career. It's an S-tier for that career, and I think seeing her worst days also really kind of makes those S-tiers feel even more true.
And I want to say yes, and I want to only asterisk right now where she is on the show. There's a few things that are dragging her more toward A than S, but the overall journey of the first 5 seasons, and without, spoiler territory, the realism of knowing that it's been on for 20 years and she's been a consistent character, and so therefore I know how much of a journey there still is for her. Yeah, I think that is really amazing, and yeah, for me too. Because then there's this one who's got a similar legacy that I'm not giving an S.
Yeah, I think Richard's tough. I'm going to give him a C. And I don't give Richard a C as a man, but like the mistakes he made before the show, and then some of the, I have to be the unlikable one, I'm in charge. And I'm sure that's a real thing that real people do in the real world. I know I've had bosses exactly like that, but C. Very good actor, performing really well, but the character is blah.
I'm gonna go with B. I really agree with everything you're saying. I love what they touch upon with the idea that this is essentially the only functional father figure that Meredith has, and is really closer to a father because he's the man that her mother actually loved. And there's such good lore there. Again, this is where it gets into like comic book lore, and this is why I really ended up loving the show. I think the problem is that they weirdly early on got so into not ever allowing characters to have, particularly Meredith and Richard, to have these moments of like recognizing that relationship. I think entirely because they wanted to always have characters in conflict, but it lessens Richard especially for not being a little more vulnerable and a little more willing to say like, I care about you in the capacity that I cared for your mother. I don't know. I could go on this one, but I really do love the potential of the character and a lot of what they saw in him. He should be an S for me. And the reason why he's a B is because they often write him the way you described, Nico.
Kevin, how you feeling about their fearless leader who is full of fear?
Yeah, no, I think I am a lot more toward you. At most, I would give him a B, but I really struggle to sympathize with some of his problems sometimes. I feel like Richard brings a lot of his problems on himself, and it's still so crazy to me that his opening arc was, I am going to retire. Who is taking over for me? Flash forward, even just to now, even where Nico and I are into season 6, where nope, you're still at this job. And somehow you lost your wife and got her back, and kind of lost her and got her back again. And now your marriage is fine, even though now your job is worse than it's ever been before. So I really feel like his character and his character's motivations are the most all over the place. And like you say, I really enjoy and appreciate the father-daughter relationship that he has with Meredith, because it's at least a very strong mentor-mentee role. And when they do, like, it's again, sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. When they're like, oh, we don't know how to be near each other. I thought I just watched you guys learn how to be near each other for a really long time.
Yep.
So, and so he's not so far as D, but yeah. Plus he's being real mean right now, so I'm sticking with C.
And I think he's a really good example of how they just did not know this show was going to last anywhere near as long as it did. And they wrote him in a way that you wouldn't imagine you would need to worry about him 20 seasons later. But like, I think ultimately by season like 12, they would have liked for the message to be that in fact, his true love was Ellis. And he did regret not staying with her. And ultimately, what he has said by season 5 is that, no, he absolutely made the right decision. He shouldn't have stayed with Ellis. He was right to stay with Loretta Devine. And I just don't think that ultimately bears out to be the truth, Ellen, because the show just went on too long, and they kept building on the Ellis-Richard lore and nothing else.
Because it's something from the beginning, so it's popular.
Right,
yeah.
and it's cool. You're going to love who plays Ellis one of the times when they do a flashback episode. And you're going to love who plays Richard. Anyway, fuck
Nice.
this guy.
Yeah, just straight D. I don't like Burke. I don't like that it always felt like he was trying to control Christina. No amount of stunt mom casting can do anything to save this. Sorry, Burke, but I don't miss you, D.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. Done.
I very frequently wanted to like Burke despite so many things. He was such an odd character in a way that reminds me a lot of Karev's push and pull. He'll give a lot, but then he'll have these moments. So I'll go with the crowd on this one.
If I had to bump him up to a C for some reason, man, can he wear a turtleneck?
Yeah, and I really did appreciate his dynamic with Christina. That was something that I appreciated early on. But you know what? But then I am going to dump him down to a D because I feel like that has made so much of Christina's arc for the next several seasons reacting to Burke. And that is not fair to her character. So, yeah. Boo.
I really get Derek. I really love this character. I see where he is very the Wolverine type. I do see where he is that leading man. I just think he's very likable. He's as likable as she is. They are very much a good Carrie and Big. I just love him. I just really hope nothing terrible happens to him on the side of the road.
No, he's doing great. Don't you even worry. So is he S for you?
Yeah, he's S for me. He's probably one of my last S's for a while, but yeah.
He's A for me. I think he should be S. I think you should compare to your partner. I think he is both too terrible at times and not terrible enough. When we were, again, watching together at your place, I think one of the things I mentioned is he should be like Jean-Luc Picard, bad with kids. Like, there are some times where it's just like, this guy's got to be a little bit more of a dick in a way that Meredith is. The reason that Meredith is good for him is because she figures out how to connect with him despite the fact that he is not always accessible. And that's their bond.
When he is a dick, it is usually just, Derek was in a bad mood.
Yeah, exactly. And not like, hey, sometimes people are flawed and you can be a good person and a great doctor and love the people in your life. This is how I am. Like, I think I'm a great person. I do love the people in my life. Sometimes I'm sort of horrible, especially to random people, and I get it. Like, it's I try not to be, and I when it's pointed out to me, I deeply regret it. I try and do better. But like, some people are like that, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you can't be dreamy and that you can't be the object of somebody's desire forever. But if you are just said to be a really complex person, and then whenever the writers have to put up the cards for that, it's just kind of like, oh, rough day. It doesn't. That's A behavior to me. That's not S behavior.
I get that. I'm probably also gonna go A. Yay.
Queen.
Addison gets an A from me and not an S, and it has nothing to do with the performance or the character, and everything to do with what I feel is a necessary slander campaign. She was written in to be the other woman by concept, and that she immediately isn't. That she immediately is 1,000 times greater than that, and within one episode shows Meredith respect, makes her so great. But as soon as you go to private practice, all of the storylines are like, I can't help being Dr. Trust Fund gets it in. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. I'm just Dr. Trust Fund gets it in. Oops, a penis fell in me. Here's some money. And like, that's just not enough.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed that. My problem with her has always been that they establish early on that while she is going through marital troubles and a divorce, and that's important to talk about, this is not a woman that pines. And this is not a woman whose life is defined by her relationships. And then they put her into situations where she is a woman defined by her relationships over and over again. And I get that it has to happen partially because it is a primetime drama, but in private practice, it really it gets to a point where it just, when David Sutcliffe shows up again in season 2, after most of her lines at the start of season 2 are about how he flaked on her, it's just sort of like, she's so much better than this, and she's already dealing with an insane medical issue that would just be the kind of thing where I would have had her not be pining after him. And then when David Sutcliffe shows up, she says like, hey, I absolutely cannot talk to you. I'm not pining. I'm not going to make like cute little comments or little digs about how you stood me up. I'm going to say, I'm working. I will call you at the end of the day. And that would make her an S character, and they just constantly have her be like, but what about Pete? We should date. And I just, nine.
And then they even try to sneak in, like, she can't stop looking at Sam's body. And, like, neither can I, but, like, that's not Addison.
But I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this comment from Tori. The Meredith Grey formula does not work for someone as solidified as Addison.
Right. Exactly.
They constantly try to mine stories from Addison that don't really make sense for her character.
Yeah.
Which, is a lot down to Kate Walsh and her stunning performance. If she gets an S asterisk for anything, it is probably, again, one of the most breathtaking moments in television history, that cliffhanger, you're the woman who's sleeping with my husband. But that is such an indication of this show and what it does, where it'll establish something and then pull back. You're the woman who's sleeping with my husband, but then the very first episode I established that I'm the one who cheated. But then later, when we need to sympathize with my character, we're going to establish that Derek didn't just stand there and walk out, he threw me out in the rain. Like, it's just, we do what we want when we want it. So, love her, but A for Addie.
And now to a character that I think winds up being definitive of the idea that this show is going to keep growing, that we're not done with them. Callie becomes more popular than George, and she's introduced as George's love interest. I do just want to be clear with you all that this is like a Tony-winning superstar. Sarah Ramirez is a powerhouse in multiple mediums, and that's awesome, because in Spamalot, right?
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah. I love her. I think she's so talented. I think she's fucking brilliant. If I have any negative on the character, it's that they just don't know what to do with her. They just throw her left, right, and center. Her pussy is everywhere. And then the problem becomes like every gay person is just there for Callie. And then we get to Arizona, my next S. But Callie just kind of like is there to be banged for a while. And I get it. Look at her. But Calliope, you deserve better, my queen.
Yeah, I'm giving her a B. She's one of the tough ones. I think 6 through 12 is where she really shines and really carries a lot of the show and carries a lot of the legacy of like this show has gone beyond the initial cast, and she's a really great example of somebody who was not in the initial cast but was on very early, and so kind of bridges the two worlds. And I really do end up loving the character. I don't love her here. I would even give her a lower grade except for pioneer lesbian, frontiering those lesbian frontiers, and the speech to her dad.
Yeah.
That is an incredible moment of acting. That's an incredible moment of writing. It's really important.
You can't pray away the gay.
So yeah, it's a B, and it actually really would be worse for the first 5 seasons. You're absolutely right, Nico. They just don't know what to do with her. But she is one that ultimately on the run of the show, I really do love her a lot.
I think I'm going to go a little higher. I think I'm going to give her the A, because obviously I'm a softie for the queer stuff, and this was such a moment where, like, this helped lay the ground for so many things that came after. It's wild. Thinking about where her character started as the weirdo who was living in the hospital and was obsessed with George.
And didn't wash her hands.
And didn't wash her hands when she peed. And, like, walked into the bathroom topless, and she was so weird. And Sarah Ramirez, as such a queer icon herself now, was not the type of woman who necessarily would have been given priority on a show like this, and the fact that her character got to the point of you're saying it's really season 6 through 12 where she shines. Like, wow. So I want to just give her a little bit of extra kudos for that. Kudos, Mama, for surviving on this bizarre little show. Because then there's this weirdo.
Oh, God.
I don't understand so much about Dr. Han. Go ahead.
So I if one day you went to Wawa because you're from New Jersey, so you go to Wawa, right? And you go to Wawa and you go to the counter and you see, ooh, my favorite, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I'm going to get one. That's going to be delicious. What do you mean this one is marshmallow and meatloaf? That's wrong.
What?
I love meatloaf, I love marshmallows, and I love Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I love buying things at Wawa. Why isn't a mean-spirited, severe lesbian who's as good as everyone else with something to prove and falls in love with the incredibly beautiful ethnic lady as somebody who is also Greek and Latino? Ethnic hello? How is this woman? I don't like her.
Two things. A, she was never meant to be this major character, very obviously. She was only meant to be a recurring antagonist against Burke. And they elevated her to regular to make up for Burke's absence. And B, I feel like they only leaned into the queer thing because they were interested in that storyline and she seemed masculine. But, like, I don't think they ever really knew what they were doing with her character. Like, I thought it was really bizarre that she was also a vagina virgin. I wasn't necessarily expecting her to... Like, I get her maybe also being bi or something, but, like, I don't know. It feels like everything that happened with their story was as they were writing it as it was going out the door. And I think that's hugely where it got away from them, and that's where this character got away from them.
I also thought it was, I have to take away points sometimes for the storylines and everything, and the fact that she leaves... just because she's mad about what happened with Izzy and Denny, and then never returns.
Insane.
And it's funny because she's just Brooke Smith, I guess, is not a big enough actor for people to speculate on. So there's never really been, you can see 8 different stories about why TR Knight.
Who is obviously, that's just because he's so famous and been on so many other things.
Well, no, he was at the time. But why TR Knight, why Isaiah Washington, why Katherine Heigl, why they left, why ultimately Patrick Dempsey will leave. There's so much, behind the scenes, what happened there. There's nothing about her. It doesn't say anything bad, doesn't say anything good. It's so abrupt and so terrible. And also the fact that she gets mad at Callie for being biased. Callie's like, I think I might also like men. And she's like, well, you can't. It's not allowed.
I thought you did 2 seconds ago.
I just want to say one thing that Kevo said that I'm going to sell you out a little bit, honey, and I don't mean it mean, because I think this is a beautiful woman. But she's not Katherine Heigl pretty. She's a beautiful woman who is her own kind of beautiful.
She's so weird looking. I mean, like, and I don't mean that like unattractive. She is very odd looking.
She has what looks like a nose reconstruction after a softball injury. And
she also... got, I think, teeth work done from her first appearance where she's at where she's protecting. And again, like, I'm not trying to speculate on anything here, but it's just like there's a big shift for the character where they're like, you better hotten up.
And then as I say, and Arizona, I think is, I mean, by definition, Arizona is a hot place.
I feel like Arizona is the Disney princess version of Erica Hahn.
Yeah, Erica Hahn is definitely a Don Bluth character.
She's a real woman on a show where a lot of the characters at the start looked a lot more like real people. You had the younger ones like Izzy who were pretty, but a lot of the older adult characters looked more like, real people.
Yeah, and that is going to change as it continues. It's just like every time they add a new batch of interns, they're just insanely hot. As you guys have seen with these new residents.
Now, I'm going to say something not attractive about myself. Sometimes series ongoing contributor Jonah likes to say he's a himbo, and he's not. He's way too intelligent. No, but if
himbo.
Actual himbo Nico, this would if you took a lot of the things that make me self-aware and neurotic away and you left just my himbo shell. Yeah, I get it. I get Sloan.
Yeah,
I get it. And I think TK, one of the things you said to us early on was that this character would be bisexual if they came up with him now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, like he's not. He is on paper heterosexual, but like the expressions of freedom are, there's so few people that we say you're queer even if you're straight, and like you could work really hard to convince me that Dave Navarro has never had a penis in his mouth. It would be very difficult, but like you could convince me that he's never sucked Flea's dick. I can't imagine being in the room with Flea and not being like, you want to have sex? But Dave Navarro, if he said that to me, I would believe him, and I would be like, you're queer though by everything about your freedom of self. And I just think Sloan lives a proud queer man life, and just the fact that he isn't like, oh, is George a great lover? He's immediately like, is George's penis big? Like, it is.
Not does he please women? Is he a large man? Yep.
Yes. It is not. Does he please women? Is he a large man? And that is like, I love this character. He's stupid. I love the woman he winds up with for where I'm at. I will probably check out the sex tape now.
It's really boring.
Oh, right. Oh, they always are.
Yeah.
Anything?
I mean, yeah, but it's more just like they're in a hot. I don't know. It's not. It's just.
Oh, it's another Drake situation. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, it's so funny because the other thing is.
Oh, so A, by the way. Not
A.
S.
Yeah, I think it'll probably end up being an A for me. Maybe a B. He is obviously in love with Derek. And I don't know, like it really is just such a different show early on. And I don't know, when I say that he's in love with Derek, I don't know that he wants to kiss Derek. I think he just needs to be able to say, I love you, and to have Derek say it back to him, and get a hug. Like, almost separate from the fact that also, yes, if he were created now, he would be bisexual. But he just, I don't know, he's such a sweet little puppy dog boy, and they do really establish how you can be a really great surgeon and very technically skilled, and also really dumb and like not see what's right in front of you and not know how to communicate. And Karev has the same problem, but is horrifyingly toxic and not fun to watch, and never makes you go, oh, you sweet little dummy. And Mark makes you do that. And there's something at least nice about that, especially compared to Karev after so many foibles.
And I really appreciate you bringing up Karev, because I think the comparison between them is so important to make. Because again, Mark is so significant to the early lore of this show. Introducing the concept that Derek was cheated on by his wife and his best friend, and then introducing the wife, and then introducing Mark, and then Mark comes back and is a regular character. Watching that unfold in real time was such a thing. And then the show continues and Mark becomes a regular character, and we kind of have to buy back what was initially such significant parts of Derek Shepherd's origin story, when really that was something that just happened to him, that was a really horrible blip in their relationship, that now several seasons in, a lot of characters have done crazy things. It's not great, but yeah, you kind of had to buy back the character. And so especially seeing him in comparison to Karev, who as one of our starter characters, despite that, is very frequently put in worse positions than this guy who was such a villain to start. really wild. And I also feel like giving him an A. And so the fact that he is getting an A from us in comparison to Karev getting a D, who's supposed to be one of our starters, says a lot about both, really.
There's a Chikorita in every generation. Okay, so here's the thing. If you watch something as good as Lost or Desperate, and you really see how the Twin Peaks, the Gilmore Girls level of minor character infusion is so necessary to their success, you're like, oh, well, obviously, this is a show about people. When you think about something like Grey's Anatomy, it's a show about medicine. So when they find time for characters like Sydney Herron, who is played by Buffy's Kali Rocha, who is probably best known for playing Halfrek, but keen-eyed fans might remember there's a bit of an Easter egg for her with Spike. Marty Noxon comes over from Buffy, and immediately George and Izzy have a Xander Willow-esque affair, and it's such an eye roll.
Demon.
And then here you have a Marty Noxon staple. You have Halfrek. And she plays such a unique character, such a brilliant character. It's unfortunate that I can't give the character an S. I give Kali Rocha an S for her incredible performance and her idea of how to explore this. But the character's a really fun B. She's a really fun B. There's just not enough to really care about.
Yeah, I agree. It's a B for me. She's really cute. She's really funny. I think this is the first time we get you assumed I was a garbage doctor because I am like this. I'm a great doctor, and that will be a thing that recurs with other characters for different reasons.
Especially on Private Practice, where that is literally Pete's entire story.
Yeah, over and over again with Pete. But you'll have doctors who come. I mean, like, I think we're voting on another one who comes in later who, everybody assumes is a terrible doctor, but she's actually fantastic. And so, I mean, it's just, it's a cool storyline. It's fun. I think she comes back once, right? She has two episodes?
At least 2 or 3, actually. She has some really cool minor appearances. This show likes to make sure that people stay in the background.
Yeah. She's great, fun energy, but not remarkable, and never does anything terrible. So right in the B lane.
Exactly.
I one time got suspended for saying that in high school. So I tend to think that characters named Rose are either the best character in something, in the case of Rose Walker, most fantastic character in the entire universe. In the case of Rose Tyler, one of the most shock you in your senses contrasts to the fiction she's in. Or it's Rose Nyland, my least favorite Golden Girl and my favorite member of the Golden Palace. No, you don't understand.
It's always something with you.
She's so intense there. This Rose is so my least favorite that she's my favorite. She just stabs Derek in the beautiful hand. The hand that is going to cup one butt cheek of mine while massaging the front bits. That Derek, she just stabs him in the hand. She just says, "Come here, surgeon faggot man," and stabs him in the dreamy fucking hands.
I wish they'd gone harder.
I wish she stuck around and got fired in the merger and was like, "I guess I shouldn't have stabbed you, huh?" And he just went off into the sunset.
Oh, you wanted her to stick around and be fine. I wanted her to stick around and follow Meredith to her car.
I don't know. I would stick her in a suitcase either way and just kind of ship the character off somewhere, not the actress who gives a great performance as an unfortunate trope. It would have been a lot more fun if she was a guy and doing it to one of the female surgeons instead of making a woman be this type of crazy. It's just not cute and it's not necessary. A nurse has passed her NCLEX. The NCLEX is a hard exam. I have an opportunity to talk about testing on the show. The NCLEX is a hard exam, you guys. So this woman is intelligent. She has done an incredible amount of schooling. And yes, obviously, there are stupid people at every level of everything. Just take a look at politics. But I wanted more for this character. I also happen to find the woman very attractive. So it would have been really cool if she had been more. But this character sucks. She sucks with a capital C. She coded.
Yeah, she gets a C from me as well. The character does suck. They never, they have Olivia early on as a nurse that's like pretty present. That they really
Who's
do
Olivia?
Isn't that her name?
No, that is her name.
How can I? What would help me remember who she is? What?
Oh no.
What should she do?
I mean, I was just getting there. Like, it's so offensive that like the big thing is that she's the syphilis nurse.
Yeah.
And they give her more storylines after, but you can't really come back from that, and they don't even really try that hard because they keep making jokes about it. Nurses are such an enormous part of a hospital, and the fact that there's no main character who is a nurse at any point sucks a whole bunch.
No, there's Carla. Oh wait.
Well, exactly. I mean, Rose could have been a really great Carla, and even like it would have been great to have her stick around and make things more awkward. The stabbing Derek bit is funny because it seems like she might be crazy for a second, and then it's just actually an accident, and it should happen. Accidents happen in hospitals. I was, just watching an episode where Derek accidentally nicks an aneurysm. So, like, everybody does accidents. It can't be this woman is no longer functional as a nurse.
I bet Laverne Todd has even made a mistake at some point in her career working under Harry and Maxine.
Thank you for the empty nest reference. We'll rank them later. And so anyway, it's a bummer that this character didn't stick around. It's a bummer that they're kind of like, you have to leave because you have gone hysterical from Derek's infection of your womb.
You have vaginismus.
Yeah, you got the vagimiasma, and you must go into the sunset with ye. You shall move to Colorado and teach at a community college.
You have a yeast infection in your romance, and now you have to go.
So yeah, C for the yeast infection.
Didn't she even transfer to like maternity or something very womanly like that?
Yeah, they do say that. It's just so fucking offensive and stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm
boo! Boo! Don't let Nico talk. Boo!
Let me tell you why.
No, I'm not gonna let you talk.
Lexi Gray gets.
You be quiet.
Why this goddess of a woman is on this
planet?
Muppet. Love in your heart. There you go. There it is.
No, she's a beautiful Muppet. She is a Muppet. If Meredith Grey is
boo to you.
If Meredith Grey is Liz Lemon, this is the Liz Lemon Muppet, and this
is Kenneth.
I love her. I think she's amazing. I think what's great is she's actually probably a lot smarter than Meredith. What Meredith is Meredith is just good. It's like a thing that you can be in this world that there's no measure for. She's just good. She's just true and beautiful and kind, like a song. And Meredith is just good. She is what makes us want to be better, because we want to be someone who could just exist in the world with Meredith, a person who was willing to throw away her career because somebody needs help. And that's stupid, but Meredith is stupid. She's not smart. She's just good. And Meredith is good. Lexi is that for kind. She's just kind. She is the kindness lantern. She is Lantern Rainbow Happiness Girl. And I so love her and the glasses and the pigtails and the overalls.
And the paint on her med coat. Yeah.
Kevo, how do you feel about this S?
Yeah, no, I love her too. Someone needs to be the nice one. They're doctors, so they all are supposed to be a little bit nicer because these people are all dying. It's funny. You keep making all of the Buffy parallels, but I didn't somehow think until right now that, yeah, of course she's the Dawn to Meredith's Buffy. And
the K9, the Sarah Jane.
I really love season 7 Dawn. I love Dawn once she becomes a person and an actual character. When she's at the age that Buffy is in season 1, and I love her then, and I love the potential she shows. And
Okay,
so
but we're
I love
not
that
there for
from
Lexi yet. So what do
Lexi.
you love about her?
No, that what?
I'm saying it takes a couple years for
No, she
Dawn
is this
to.
beautiful from day one. She
No!
is,
Oh.
Dawn is in elementary.
No, she's already
school.
Buffy day one when she
Exactly.
starts. That's the thing. She starts as an intern.
Yep, I agree. I agree with. I mean, like, I don't disagree with you disliking her because you don't like characters
People.
that were told are cotton candy as a rule. Like, you have a natural reaction in that same way I do.
Also, she just like can't stop talking about fucking all of them, and
defends Thatcher.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like, oh, so I will grow to love this character. She does turn out fantastic. I hate her where we are. Meredith reflecting on family through Lexi will make me love Lexi more. The fact that she doesn't get how horrible Thatcher is, there's just so much about her that I don't like. She's so annoying. And I just, right now, she's a C. I would give her a D, but I think I'm going to be giving a lot of rough grades coming up, and I don't want to make her one of them. So it's a C. She will eventually get to maybe even an A for me, but big time C.
Yeah, I'd give her my big time C.
Speaking of,
boo,
Also
worst, hate. But yeah, he's so beautiful, but I hate him so much.
It's tough. He looks like pavement.
Wait, where's this photo from? This is not from current.
I don't know.
From where you got. Okay. Yeah, this is later, Owen. He is so hot when he arrives.
And now, in this photo, I can see where he looks a little weathered.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, like, aging does happen, but also, I don't know. God, I hate Owen so much. I will hate Owen this entire time. Owen, every era of the show, D. Fuck Owen. Fuck his stupid attitude. Fuck his beliefs about everything. He is the worst kind of person. He makes every woman's life worse. Oh God, I hate him so much. I can't believe he lasts this long. He's still on the show now. I keep thinking he would die. He has not died.
Well,
and he's not bisexual? Oh.
No, not even. He is so heterosexual.
Let me tell you why he's an S+. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, go.
When he first appears, he's an A.
Yeah, that first moment, that first scene where he's
mysterious, he's cool, he's smart, he's capable, he's
pulls out an icicle.
Yeah, and then like he's got all of this weird mystery, and then like, you know, every time they peel back the layers, right? It's like the first time he chokes Christina. Yeah, it's like, oh God, he's really got problems, and then he's like, actually, Christina, my therapist and I agree. All of my problems are your fault.
Your vagina's the problem.
He left that woman and didn't say anything, came home, didn't tell her, didn't tell his mother, then broke doctor-patient confidentiality to tell the woman about her father. God.
Was he engaged to her when he kissed Christina in that bar?
Yes.
So, like, what's that?
Yep.
And, like, one of the things that's interesting is there's a storyline, it might be early 6, where Sloane gives a man a functional penis pump, which is like a thing that you get, you know, put in your balls. It's a really amazing thing that we're able to give people happy, healthy sex lives. I genuinely could imagine Owen being like, there are real surgeries that need to be done in this hospital.
Yeah.
And you're taking a bed for that? And
that actually 100% is going to happen like 3 or 4 times at least.
And then there's all of these stories where basically he's like, that I can't achieve sexual okayness is damaging to my psyche as a man. And it's just so interesting because this is going to sound like such a weird random, but like I read this great article that was like why Roseanne should not come back when it was coming back a trillion years ago, because now the Connors has been on as long as Roseanne. Not really, but close. And it was like Roseanne was always an anyone but house. They had a problem with most gay people except they're gay people. They had a problem with most black people who would be in certain categories of location or financial status, but not when they know the person. That's different. The show would do an episode about how you don't know what it's like to be a person of that protected class, while always going out of their way to make jokes at others' expenses. That's Owen. Owen is like, you don't know what it's like to have problems, to be treated like this. And then he's the first person to be like, I don't
You
care
can't
about
behave
your
like this.
problem. You can't behave like this. And so, like, he's not great.
I'm so excited for you guys to see so many Owen storylines where exactly this happens. I'm so excited. And it always involves army vets. I want you to know that. Always army vets.
And I
Drag
hope it
that
always
into it,
involves
thanks.
other ginger dicks.
Sadly, no.
It would just be really funny if it was always like, well, it's penises, so it's normal. How am I becoming the penis doctor? You know what I mean?
We do have a penis doctor coming up.
Sweet.
The penis doctor is the absolute, but not in our list, just on the show. Penis doctor, one of the best characters on the entire show. They are one of my absolute favorites. You are going to love them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say D, most
Yep.
especially because disappointment. I
this guy.
wish the character was better.
Okay, make it quick.
You know,
As
every
for
now
you,
and then, a character comes into your life.
Okay,
where
this
you're
is
like-
not quick.
where you're like, that's why TV. I put her on like Bree Vandekamp, Buffy. I think Arizona. Whether it's the way she talks to people, like she doesn't care what they think, but she always cares what they feel, or it's the way she understands how to compartmentalize behavior from predictable action. I don't know. I just think she is one of the best examples of a character that supports wholeness. She just really is a complete idea. And she's so realized on paper, and that is so rare. It's so rare that even if she's deeply flawed, seeing such a realized character is a gift. And I think she is an S because they write her with such a value. They write her with such an she is an HTML hex code. If you put in Arizona, you get this every time where I am. And I just think that is such a unique thing. Whereas other characters, they're whatever the story wants. But sometimes Arizona is so Arizona, she has no place in the story.
Okay, I see that.
Go for it, Kevo.
I'm not sure. I like her. I don't really get her. At first, I just felt like she was a very obvious Han replacement. The Heelys were such a weird character affectation. I don't know if that was a real thing going on in hospitals that Shonda heard about and wanted to see on TV. I don't know. So she just really struck me as so odd at first. I like her, but I don't feel particularly strongly positively either. So I want to say like B, but like B positive.
No, seriously, be positive. This is a great character.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's a B for me too. I feel like I'm being very generous with that B. I can't wait to see how y'all feel about her by season, let's say 15.
Well, I am also going to just put out there that I understand that a lot of these characters that I have fallen in love with, I've not just fallen in love with, I have fallen in love with them in their infancy, and they're going to outlast the relationships they're in, the storylines they've come in through. And so, like, if I'm not mistaken, Arizona is either still on the show or recently left, and Callie leaves before her. So, I could be mistaken, but
You're a little bit mistaken. You are. I'm not going to tell you which parts you're not right about, but that is not quite correct. And I will say, it's again like it's so random because there's just so many characters, so many storylines, so many things happening. There are characters where you would be like, okay, if this character leaves in season 11 and that character leaves in season 19, they're obviously not still together, but they are. I'm not going to say who that is. I'm not going to say if it's Cali in Arizona or who it is, but like, don't count anybody or anything out just because somebody leaves.
That's true, because Denny died and Izzy still fucked him.
Precisely. And sometimes it makes a little more sense than that.
I don't agree with it when Hillary Burton does it either. I don't know what's happening here. This man is not interesting. He's not even that sexy. Like, real versions of him are, but he's just sort of like a real person. I don't know. All right, so everybody gave Arizona an S. It's time to pick on Melissa George.
Oh my god!
Show. I have never liked a character by this woman.
What?
And
Not the lady from Star Trek?
I hate.
Ooh, Vina. Ooh.
Come on. She's so great. She's going to psychically fuck the shit out of Pike when he can't move his body anymore. They're just going to do constant mind sex all day long. This is the only reason for living. What do you hate Melissa George for? Also, why do you hate her on Alias?
Oh no, that was the moment where I was like, Alias is a dumb show by dumb people who don't know how to make television.
Yes, season 3 was a nightmare.
She's so good. Like, she and her mom are the best part of season 3.
And like what sucks is I think Melissa George is a brilliant actress. She's in Amityville Horror, the bridge point for Ryan Reynolds' career. What a great remake of a terrible book. The original movie's kind of untouchable. I probably wouldn't have remade the movie, but it's a great remake atmospherically. It's got a lot of cool images. She's great in it. I love that this character is a dumb bin. Like, she is literally...
She's horrible.
She's a garbage can fire. She is the worst. Give her a D and get her done.
I do love the opportunity for George to have it over on somebody and for it not to be that he actually is a tattletale. That moment, I literally just watched it because I was trying to refresh on both this and Private Practice, and so I thought one of the best ways to do that would be to watch the crossover episodes of season 5 and 2.
So good.
They're fantastic, actually. They're really good for both shows. But like that moment where George is like, "Hey, do you have any idea what you're doing? Because you are actually going to need to know, and you could kill somebody." Actually, a really good acting moment for George, and it's weird because like this is one of those things where I want to be like, is she actually a like B or higher character because there's a point to why she is so terrible? It's not like they created this character to be here for 10 seasons, and unfortunately they wrote her so badly that they had to write her out. This is a guest arc. She clearly wasn't going to stay. She's partially there to reflect who Meredith no longer is, but also, to reflect the values of the core group. And in that, she does everything really, or she serves that function really well.
Fulfills that role.
I ultimately think, despite all that, it's not actually really even fun to watch her. I would have figured out another way. I don't know that you can cheat your way into medical school and then into like the fact that they're like, the Meredith's like, did you cheat to get in? Like, did she what do you mean by that? Did she pay somebody to take her MCATs after? What are we talking about here? So I think ultimately, even though I would give the idea and function of the character an A, and I would love to give Melissa George part of that, like, the fact of the matter is how it is ultimately written doesn't do anybody any favor. So I think it's probably a C is where I'm getting at.
I think I am probably going to lean that same direction. I love everything about that. It's such a great point. To draw back around to the Buffy parallel again, she's kind of Meredith's Faith. But I feel like she I really love your point about what she represents for characters that are going to be in arcs and small arcs. And I think we are going to start seeing that more and more as the show goes on longer and longer. And I feel like at first she threw me because she felt like a character that was going to stay. And so having her leave abruptly was strange. But I love, we need to start seeing that for various reasons. And I love the lesson that she provides, but I think the things that she does to the lore, so to speak, that confuses things. Like, I didn't love what it did to her dynamic with Christina, not to say like that relationship should be sacred, but like, no, we are told she doesn't connect with people like this a lot. Right. And you're kind of introducing this person.
And you bring up a great example because Faith doesn't really ever connect with Buffy like she does with Willow. Faith is not Buffy's best friend just because, and I think ultimately Faith would have been a really good archetype for this character. Not that she is actually a garbage medical student / intern, but maybe that she is just wrong for the program. And rather than I was kicked out because I literally cheated and don't know basic medical knowledge, it would be she wants to do stuff that they don't do at Seattle Grace and transfers programs, and like ultimately maybe is a recurring foil where she does really cutting edge surgeries that people would often say like literally don't do this, it's too dangerous, but that's what she always wants to do. And it would be a contrast to Meredith, who wouldn't do something that is ill-advised. Something like, I'm just spitballing ideas obviously, but like for 3 episodes where she's just like, I'm horrible all the time, I wish you were a slut like me, and this is and then she calls George a narc and leaves. Fuck off. I think it's a C.
Yeah.
Well,
only I can call George a narc.
Well, I do want to point out that one of the things that is so crazy about Melissa George's stint on this show is that she was on Alias at the same time as none other than Ana Espinosa, played by Gina Torres, who was also Francie, who is
so wrong.
Ana Espinosa does not replace Francie.
No.
Oh no! Yes. Okay. Yes. Wait.
Ana Espinosa.
No, Eden. I think Anna replaces Sydney.
But
that's
Sydney?
So offensive.
Yeah, so
this is why we should never talk about aliens.
No, she does not replace Francie. She's not the one who replaces Francie.
But she replaces Sydney in season 5.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought she replaced both of them somehow.
No, and I get that. I really do. None of it should be possible, and it shouldn't have ever been repeated. And now that I'm saying it out loud...
Oh, it's Alison Doran. Alison Doran is who replaces Francie.
Okay.
Francie hates coffee ice cream.
Yes. How you were going to 6 degrees of separation this to Mary McDonnell, I'm very fascinated to find out. I think you moved further away from it at some point.
No, I was just going to be like, in private practice. But also, here's the thing. So, Hot Older Boyfriend. Hot Older Boyfriend is like the TBS TNT rerun guy. He's got Major Crimes on in the background. We've got the clothes.
I have only ever seen him watching Judge Judy. Are you sure about this?
No. Actually, it's Judy Justice, for the record. We don't watch Judge Judy. We watch Judy Justice. Okay. But we actually prefer Hot Bench. Neither here nor there.
No.
So I've seen her be an awesome mom to the world's gayest kid. I've seen her be president.
Wait, are you talking about Donnie Darko?
No, major Crimes, because there she's just parent to a furry.
No, he was talking about Battlestar Galactica with Apollo.
Oh, where the first time we watched it, I couldn't take it seriously that she was, because I was like an educator, so I couldn't take it seriously that she was in education. So I just kept calling her
president right away. Yeah.
So I was like the vice chancellor of shoes over here. So in my head, she has a Tori Amos-esque shoe collection.
Mary McDonnell absolutely does have a Tori Amos-esque shoe collection.
Mary McDonnell is the actress who I think I always thought in my heart Allison Janney would be for me as a fandom person, I thought Allison Janney was going to be a part of everything I loved, because after West Wing, she took some really bold roles. She did the 9 to 5 musical on Broadway by Goddess Dolly Parton. She did so many amazing, exciting things that made me so excited about the future of her career. And of course, she's chosen to be more seldom in her acceptances and been very careful about where she chooses to appear. But Mary McDonnell has somehow had the career that I think I projected for 4 consecutive time Emmy Award winner Allison Janney in Battlestar, in Major Crimes, in the show of last year for me, Fall of the House of Usher. She just has this way where when she plays that character, that is the only character like that she's ever going to play. And to see her here on Grey's Anatomy in this unforgettable role where she is playing unforgettable, and then I struggle for the name, Virginia Dixon, and I only struggle for the name because this show goes through the
she's only in 3 episodes and you've seen over 100. It's not, you can't.
And this show goes through every WASP name they can come up with. But I truly think she's an A character. 3 appearances, but every one of them is spectacular, thoughtful, and emotional. I love this character, and I love the performance.
I'm grading on the curve of the fact that it's 2009. We don't know all the things we should know. She should not have been playing this character. This character, and we're still doing this. That kid on The Good Doctor is also not appropriate to be playing the guy on The Good Doctor. So this is a character who is on the spectrum and has some pretty severe needs that come up during the show and expresses in like ways that are not unreal, but that are not Mary McDonnell's life.
The hugging thing is very akin to something that I will occasionally need at the height of my worst anxiety and physical panic attacks. I physically got down, and the hug is something very akin to something I need when I am not well. And I do not believe that even though I am an actor who experiences these things, I do not believe it would be appropriate for me to embody this character.
Well, not to embody this character, but we could write you as a character and somebody could play, anybody could play you, because it's not so, and that's the point, is there's kind of a difference between like, you can be a person that this being a really good example that responds specifically to pressure in needing to regulate your nervous system. And that scene alone could have happened still with Mary McDonnell not specifically playing somebody who is on the spectrum to such a degree that would be a lived body experience that you would kind of want to give to an actor that has that experience. So anyway, like I said, I'm grading on a curve with that because I think she does a really good job. And I don't think, it's a tough thing. I don't think never again should an actor be allowed to take a role like that. I just think we know that underrepresentation is a thing. We are at a crucial point for being able to address it. And then that means that once we have, it allows for, I don't think any particular type of role is sacred, but I do think underrepresentation is real. So anyway, Mary McDonnell gets an A. She's fantastic. I love her more than anything. I can't give her an S because it's just 3 episodes and it's not perfect. But she really is fantastic. I just love her so much. That's all I got.
So, Kevy, I feel like you're going to initially go, no, and then say, maybe. As the Adama to my Rosalind, I would love to get your take on an actress that means genuinely a lot to us, but she's just like a consummate professional. This wasn't them getting Battlestar Galactica's, Mary McDonnell. This was them getting film legend Mary McDonnell.
It was around BSG. It was into BSG, at least, I think.
Absolutely, and I did not mean to minimize
No,
BSG.
sorry.
I only meant to Oh no, of course. I only meant to highlight the quality of the fact that my mother, who has seen exactly 0.2 episodes of Battlestar Galactica, was like, they snapped a baby's neck. I'm done forever, and she loves this woman.
Yeah, I mostly love her from that. I mostly don't love her from being one of the worst parents in the Scream franchise. But she is...
Wow, a lot of Scream people in this.
Yeah. She's Sydney's aunt. But yeah, no, I really liked her a lot. I'm disappointed that she didn't have more appearances, but at the same time, maybe that sparingness allows us to enjoy this character more for what she was, and hopefully... as we get to later seasons, they've done better with that sort of representation.
I love it. Guys, I really want to thank you, because Grey's Anatomy has been, I don't know, like a relief, a breath of fresh air. I've had to move over to DC because Marvel, I've exhausted all of the old stuff I want, and new stuff isn't coming out at the speed I want it, I guess, somehow. Oh, no, I'm sorry. New good things I am interested in aren't coming out at the speed I want, because there's plenty of incredible, excellent, top tier, A+, change the game forever stuff coming out. It's just not all my speed. It's not all what I'm looking for. And you're right, TK, I can't think of any TV show other than maybe Law and Order where, the interplay of the way the characters evolve over time. And they went out of their way to make sure that the revival of Law and Order actually uses the original numbering. So we're talking about a show that really truly cares about its continuity. Grey's Anatomy gives me something I have so longed for so long, and seeing Private Practice be the New Mutants to Claremont's Uncanny so early on, as opposed to taking, 20-something years as it did to the original X-Men. This is interesting. Number one, I want to just get out of the way and just say it right now and make it really clear. I do think that Paul Adelstein as Coop is literally, if you're curious about my type, I genuinely think this man is an 11 out of 10. I would stammer trying to talk to him. I'm turning pink thinking about him. I think he is, that's the kind of guy I'd go after in an instant. And he doesn't have to be everybody's taste. You can not get it, and that's totally cool. But I just think he is an incredibly handsome man, and very grateful that the show cast somebody who, I mean it really positively, but he is very leading, handsome Jewish man, as opposed to Pete, who is, Tim Daly, the whitest white guy to ever white. And to be honest, I do feel that while Grey's Anatomy makes sure to have some of the other ones, they do cheat toward white guys with white guy hair. And so just to see that Coop celebrates looking other in such a sexy, handsome, he's treated as sexually viable on the show. He's treated as sexy, as intelligent, as good with children, as somebody who has flaws. I just think it's a celebration of the fact that there's more than one kind of man that turns people on. And I'm really glad that my kind of man is shown on TV for a change. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Just want to put it out there. So if there are any handsome 40-year-old Jewish doctors looking for somebody, hey, what's up? I make a mean baklava. Anyway, so let's talk about Private Practice. I have watched 2.5 seasons of Audra McDonald and Taye Diggs on a show, and they have not once sang anything from Porgy and Bess. I am going to clear this table!
There's no musical in Private Practice, is there? Huh? They're not going to sing.
No, sir, and I already could dream up the perfect reason why they ought to have done.
Are you
and
kidding
it's just
me?
not going to happen.
I would literally just cast this cast in hair.
Well, what's really funny is, well, yes, A, amazing. B, they should have pulled Audra McDonald. I'm sure there was a scheduling thing, but they should have pulled her in for the Greys musical, because it actually does involve a baby at one point. So anyway, and Audra McDonald is our first up. I'm gonna lean right into it. As I was saying to Nico, the fact that she is basically Mr. Sinister for cash at the start of season 2.
I'm not even kidding. The funniest thing I have heard in our calendar year 2024. The single funniest joke I have heard this year, this entire year.
Wasn't a joke, was actually what happened. This is dropping the character down to a B for me. I love Audra McDonald. I just think that they don't know what to do with Naomi a lot of the time. And being somewhat of a companion and somewhat of a foil to Addison is not a correct place for Audra McDonald to be. I don't know that again, we know better now. I don't know that it's a great place for any black female actor to be when, again, underrepresentation is such a thing. But like, if we're casting just to type, I would not have let Maren Dungy go, because Maren Dungy plays that role very well in Alias, in West Wing, and then in Alias she shows you that she's got other notes, so we can build out. If we have to start the show with in which we meet Addison, a funny girl from far away, and it's really Addison's show, but you have another person who is a leading woman who should be treated like one, but maybe we have to build into that. It's not star of stage Audra McDonald, it's Maren Dungy. And
I'm glad you didn't try to call her star of TV.
No, I mean, she's A, they don't treat her like she is. B, this is not the accomplishment that any of her theater career is. And she should have her own show if it's going to be her on the show. I imagine this was a fantastic paycheck, very steady work, but it's a B character because it's just nothing about this setup is right.
It is a B character, but yeah. I think if it were Maren Dungy in the role, it would have been a B character. And I think part of what we're talking about here is we feel Audra McDonald was wasted, but we feel Maren Dungy plays a lot of wasted roles. And we know how great she is at them. So why are you wasting another brilliant black actress when there's already an underappreciated brilliant black actress who plays similar roles who gets no credit for them?
I mean, I thought she was perfect on Alias, so there's that. And I thought that role was perfectly good. I would have liked to have seen a little more of Francie / Allison, but I thought that what they did was perfect. I thought the character could have used more. I mean, she was great in West Wing too. It's not really her fault. We just lost Mandy's entire function.
All right. So here's what I'm going to say. It's exactly what you said. Naomi sucks, but Audra McDonald is great. And it makes me realize that everybody I love from that little original X-Men crew of Nay, Sam, Addie, Mark, and Archer, Derek, that crew of that team. I guess Derek's the Mimic. I'm sorry, I guess Archer's the Mimic, right?
Yeah.
Because he's just also there.
Yeah.
They're bad people. They only become good people later in their lives. But Naomi really wants to follow the money because the money is where helping people is. And she's a B. She's probably an S of that person, but it's a B for me. I don't think she's an S character, despite maybe being the best version of a B person. Oh, right. Pete's here. D, I hate Pete. I hate Pete. No. No. Why would you slander Britta?
Yeah, truly.
I'm trying to find a way to say
Britta,
that
you're right. I'm so sorry.
everybody's watching Community wrong if they don't think
Young
the
Pierce?
3 best characters are literally the the mother-daughter crone thing in Britta,
Annie and Shirley.
and Shirley. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not watching it as like, wow, these 3 women are flawed but perfect.
Yeah.
I don't understand the show. So I only want to say, please don't threaten Britta with going further down the pole, because she's already the bottom rung, and this guy is easily the sub-basement. Tim Daly's great.
Horrible Doctor.
Yeah, Tim Daly's great. Tim Daly's a really cool guy, but what we get from this character until season 3, which actually, y'all are lucky that we're not grading the premiere of 3 in this. He's just like the crunchy granola hippy dippy guy. Like, he's basically Phoebe from Friends. He's like, oh, all you need is more Reiki and acupuncture, and then you'll be fine.
And then he becomes Phoebe from Friends, where instead he develops into this angry, edgy person who actually has a worse history than you imagined. Yeah, interesting.
Turns out he was a super duper hardcore corporate guy and had no soul and no heart. His character is just really boring, and Tim Daly does a great job, really brings the character to life. By the way, Tyne Daly, Derek's mom, Tim Daly here, and they are they are a family. They are related, so it's not like I'm just pointing out 2 people with the same last name. I'm not like also throwing Bob Daly in there, different spelling. So anyway, this character's terrible. I'm not also saying their cousin, The Daily Show. Thank you, Kevo.
Oh my God, Tyne Daly's she's barely 12 years older than Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah.
That's horrible and so mean.
No, she's always been with the fact that she's got that gray hair.
Yeah, I guess so.
And please, if you had...
And also, no, I'm not going to make that joke. Never mind.
Tyne Daly is just like an award queen. She is so incredibly talented.
Great. They really do not use her enough. The next episode that she's on is so upsetting. It's, oh God, it makes me so upset. We'll talk about it later. Yeah, he's a D. He's the worst. And it's really offensive how they just keep, not even like offensive to alternative medicine, because, you know, not proven by science, a lot of it, but the fact that the show just constantly is like, so we'll do surgery and then you'll do your holistic medicine thing and she'll be cured. Nobody has any idea what he does. They don't, they're like this private practice where they're like, just whatever it is, I don't know, throw some grass on her, that'll save the baby. They have no clue. None of these treatments are regulated. A lot of those herbs have heavy metals in them.
Private practice is about as much about medicine as Melrose Place was about advertising.
Thank you.
Rest
or pool cleanup.
Forever, Shannon Doherty. Shannon Doherty.
We love you, Shannon.
I just want to think, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But I have this dumb mental image of Brenda on the back of Dylan's motorcycle, and it's just really nice, and it makes me happy, and just leave me in my sick, sad little world.
Also, Warner Brothers, you took down my favorite fan video of Dylan and Brenda to Against All Odds by Phil Collins, but then halfway through the video, it switches up, and it's the Postal Service cover of Against All Odds, and that's important to me. Please take down your copyright strike, because I love that video and I wanted to watch it today and I could not.
I have the exact same problem with a specific original arrangement of Work by Rihanna no longer being available on the internet, and it is crippling me emotionally right now.
I feel you.
I can't find a fan video for Roswell set to a very specific and random pop song. I'll look up and try to see what the title is before the end of this episode. This guy sucks, though.
Do you guys remember that time that there was that fan video about Annie and Jeff set to Gravity by Sarah yeah, this guy sucks. While we're at it, I'm not coming for private practice in any way. Great
Letters by Stroke 9.
amazing. Gray's score eats Private Practice's score. It's not even close. And like, it's not even like Private Practice is trying to have an edgy score. I've pointed out to Kevo that almost every episode of Private Practice opens up with a very expensive classic hit, and then everything else is mad cheap, diesel cheap. Even though diesel gas is more expensive, sometimes diesel can be used to say something to the maximum. So diesel cheap, unlike diesel. Yeah, the score. So, right, I was using that to segue into how proud I am of this cover of Sap's Cozy and the Rocket that we're using as the background loop. It's going to be up on SoundCloud tomorrow. It's actually a really unbelievable piece of music. It's complicated. It uses some really cool time signatures. Really my honor to cover it. Really an amazing piece of music that's been extrapolated into immense parts of the score to Grey's Anatomy. Definitely check it out. Anyway, here's Coop. He's an S. I just think he's so handsome. I think he is incredible.
Hold on. Handsomeness aside, what grade is he?
Do I actually have to separate from him? Okay. If I have to take him away from his beautiful face, I give him an A. And I can
Okay,
explain
so
why.
if you really think he's an A and the handsomeness is added in and that makes him an S, that averages out, you can give him the S. You've talked about Coop a lot, so I'm jumping on immediately.
I just want to say that the thing I love the most is that he and Charlotte hold mirrors to each other that help them become better people episode by episode. Them being better people makes me and my husband be better people as we're watching it. And it's actually really kind of amazing.
I do feel that I am getting into that storyline, into that, like, I am seeing that as I get through, although I really, as I told you, did not like her coming in and saying that she should be his best friend. Although you did say that they buy that back. But
oh my God, she winds up being like, yeah, I'm bad. Violet, hey, let's be buddies.
Good. Yeah, I dipped off this show hardcore in the second season because there was a lot of stuff I didn't like. My problem with Coop is, as a very Jewish looking man who has to be out in the world, when we are handsome, when we put the work in, we are very handsome. I do love to be a handsome Jewish man. We also just can roll out of bed and look quite a mess. And I feel like there are a lot of times where Coop just rolls out of bed and comes to this show. The hair is not correct. The beard is not correct. Put your fucking feet away. And I just... The audacity of heterosexual men on television to just be like, it doesn't fucking matter. They will just write me as sexy, and that's like 50%, 75% of the battle. There are, like, the first episode, I literally think he turns my stomach. He is so unattractive. But then it's maybe like the last episode, because I watched like very sporadically just to catch up. There's another episode, I want to say it's the last one of the first season, where, yeah, like the hair is right, his beard is right, and then he's just so handsome. He's a really, really handsome guy. And then, again, next time I see him, the hair is, like, this is not a good picture to me. This is not a good, he does not look cute here. And yet I'm sure in the episode, it's something where some woman is like, look, it's the most fuckable man in LA. And I hate that. I just, it drives me insane.
A pediatrician, well, he won't bring any diseases home.
Huzzah.
I don't know why she is the most Italian lady from Staten Island you've ever met.
She's just on vacation in LA. I do think he is an interesting character a lot of the time. Sometimes he comes off as really creepy and weird, especially in the first season before they really established things with Charlotte. I just so do not buy him as like this guy that can't stop knocking the pussy away fast enough. I don't mind that he, like, if he dates regularly or whatever, I don't, but like, just, it's like, I am drowning in women all the time. I don't, but yeah, when things get together with Charlotte, it's a lot better. Anyway, this was a long rant to say it's a B.
Well, B is that was a lot of tears for Safe.
Yeah, a lot of tears for Safe. Yes,
But
I will admit that.
No, I get where you're coming from with a lot
I'm just
of that.
jealous of other Jews' success.
I think a lot of what you're saying also makes me think about how much of this is a period piece, how much of this is 15, 20 years ago, and what a craze being metrosexual was, when really that just meant showering and combing your hair for a lot of men. And that was established as a new wild trend and standard. So I think something that we talk a lot about as a period piece as well as Modern Family, which aired across 11 seasons, and we talk about how Phil Dunphy was a very different type of man at a very different time, and how you see the world evolve through him. So I think that is also a lot of what Cooper is. And the online dating stuff is also really just wild. Their perception of what it is and what it should be is just wild. But I think I'm going to go with A. I think by the end of the show, he could be S. But at this end, and for everything we've gotten through, definitely A.
There is one way you won't have to pay. Our dreams can become a reality. You'll see, boys. You'll see.
Kind of the same character at times.
Taye Diggs was one of maybe 12 voices I heard the most growing up. It was the 8 voices of the lead characters of Rent, like Tori Amos and like Sarah McLachlan and Ani DeFranco and John Mayer. That's actually pretty accurate. Fuck, I'm ugly inside. But so when I see a man who like, I make this stupid joke on a bunch of shows about how like I learned to masturbate looking at Brian McKnight, and like yes, but also guys like Taye Diggs, whose aesthetics were so next level in the 90s, challenged my idea of what masculinity was. There's a reason that he was used in so many advertisements, in so much promotional, for so many things, where he was this sexual creature. You know, he's from the House on a Haunted Hill remake that so many of us saw as a kid. So many of us were one kid. I love Taye Diggs, so to see him play this very limited character, it doesn't befit his range. It doesn't befit his ability. The character is a C, but he's played at a B, and I appreciate that because he's coming from an A or S actor. I'm going to give him a B because I just really wanted to talk a little bit about like how much I love so many roles that Taye Diggs has played, and Taye Diggs. But gosh, this is a bad character. Bad character. Bad Shonda. Shonda, no. Shonda, remake. Do better. No.
Yeah, I went with C. It's so funny because they're about to start writing some fantastic black male characters over on Grey's Anatomy.
Is Avery's
on that.
So
Avery's on that list to me.
So exciting.
Another one I'm just not gonna say anything about. A third one who is a nurse, so there's that. Anyway. So I know that in that Shondaland executive producer writers room, the capability is just about to be there, and unfortunately this is a white women writing fantasy for white women about what an upstanding black man's complex life would be like, and I don't think it matches with anything recognizable to anything anybody wants to watch. He often comes off as way too macho, bordering on violent with Del, who I think we should beat the shit out of Del. I just don't know that.
Not for the same reasons, though.
Right,
that-
exactly.
That Disruptive Films video would be my favorite.
Sure, but this is Shondaland don't produce those. So
Shonda, girl, listen, if you could get some of these actors
let's
to
talk.
do those.
Anyway, yeah, he's just to see. I really, God, and watching the crossover where the whole thing is just him talking about how he's a man and he's not into Audra McDonald. It's just so weird. I don't know. I know he could be great, and I hope he is in later seasons. I have no idea. Anyway, yeah.
Real
sorry.
men are allergic to corn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost said B. I was waffling, but yeah, that the corn reminds me. I think I'm also gonna go with C.
Come on, Shangela.
Oh God! Oh God, Britta!
I need to be clear with you. This woman is one of my ultimate female fantasies of all time.
You
someone who
think
sucks?
so much in other stuff.
I think Amy Brenneman is one of the most beautiful women ever. And if you know my type,
she's absolutely gorgeous.
yeah, if you know my type, you get it. I think she is literally, truly one of the. I would get down on one knee and propose to this woman. I think she is brilliant, funny. I think she's in one episode of Frasier, and it is so defining of the entire series. It is one of the top 10 quotes Kevo and I do. I think she is flawless. I think she is so sexy. This character,
it's because she's female Coop. She's also a Jewish American. We have to talk about this after the show. Anyway,
I think she, and I feel so bad, but and I understand she is clearly a woman played by a woman, but she is the gay male shrew.
yeah,
She is that pushy fucking twink. She's that fucking guy, and I fucking hate him. I hate being in every gay charity with him. I hate being at every gay convention with him. He's that fucking guy, and he wants me to feel bad that I'm not going out to DC to protest something. He's that guy. And so he's not somebody that I enjoy, and for that reason Violet has to be a D. Violet would only be in your life to tell you you're bad at living it, and for that reason Violet is a D.
yeah. She always just looks like she has the sniffles, and she's so many problems. She looks. I just. I don't know.
You're always waiting for her to say, "You're really gonna eat that?"
And
Why?
I don't. There are so many scenes where Audra McDonald and Kate Walsh are having a really serious conversation, and then she kind of sidles up to the two of them and goes "What you talking about?" It's so incredibly uncomfortable and awkward. It's no one wants her there.
As Satan would put it, she's a fishwife on market day.
I truly don't think they believe that what she does is medicine, like Tim Daly. They are just trying to get billings out of her
somehow.
No,
How?
they absolutely treat her like she is, and she behaves like she is. So
They
you get
think
what
that-
you deserve.
It is so psychology is made up, it's Republican.
Yeah,
Technology's below needles.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with her at any point, and I just that she let Sheldon's penis within 50 feet of her is the most upsetting and disgusting thing I've ever thought about, and I'm just so disappointed in her. I know where the character ends up, and I hope that there's some good stuff in seasons 3, 4, and 5 that get us there.
Yeah, I think Brian Ben kind of looks like one of the ice climbers come to life.
When I told you
Generous.
who he was, you were shocked.
That cannot be the guy from Dream On. How?
Finding
He's absolutely the Biscuit
John Cage.
of. Thank you.
Mhm.
Of the private practice. Anyway, we'll D him in a second.
finding pictures were hard, and I saw this one of her and was like, I'm not gonna try harder than this.
And this is the worst possible picture in the world, and I'm obsessed with it. This perfectly encapsulates how she is the soul-sucking worst.
I still think she's not a shit here. I think she is. I'm
but
so
it doesn't have, her gorgeous, long, flowing, again, very Jewish locks.
I'm gonna give
anyway.
her a C because I still like her more than Pete.
Fair.
But they do kind of deserve each other.
Yes.
Speaking of deserve each other.
So I'm not gonna give her an S because I don't want.
I gave her an S,
but
I'm giving her an S.
If
she's the fucking best.
Allowed.
As one of my favorite straight dudes in the entire universe once said, "Dom me, mommy." Was that it? Bully me, mommy. What did he say?
Yeah.
This fucking goddess of a human, Charlotte King. Other than the fact that they're constantly like Dr. King and it's a little white woman and that I don't love, she is such a contrast to everybody else on the show because she's like, I am in it for me, I just also want to do good by the world. Why is that so bad? And like which is very for one thing, it's so funny because that's literally what being in private practice is about. Yes. And she is not. She is a hospital administrator, which is like the Grays people where
are all,
you are.
The Grays people are all so like, I don't know. She's another one who I really wish had been imported to Grays. She would have been a fantastic character to continue on there. I did call her country remix Trisha Helfer. Stand by that, but I love her. She is an S for me. She was an A, a really solid A, but then she has the episode where Coop is like, hey, like, come talk to us. And she's like, no, you're a weird incestuous family and I don't want to be part of it. And I was like, that's correct. That is the correct way to respond to any cast of a television show. They're always too close. And if you're on the outside, you should say no to their hijinks and antics because it's always bad news. And I loved her for that. And so she gets an S.
I'm saying, Kevy, I'm saying this because I hold you in an incredibly high regard and esteem as the Coop to your Charlotte. I care very much what you think of her.
I mean, I think I want to side. You said S, right? No, you said A.
I said S. I said I would give her.
He said
an
A.
S.
He was worried about getting made fun of if he gave her an S.
And because, sometimes I like when blonde white ladies boss me around.
No, I think I do want to give her an S because I don't love moments like that one and feel like she is going to develop a little bit more. I think that she will have the ability to maintain professional walls and focus, but I think she is also probably starting to open herself up a little bit more, and I appreciate that. It is a give and take thing, and I really love the direction they chose to take this character because this was an era where she could have been something really kind of repugnant instead. This was back when the beautiful blonde competing doctor might have been kind of saucy and might have slept around the office, and instead they really developed the hell out of her and are, like you said, she has a very pragmatic view of what their job is actually supposed to be. I was very disappointed because Idina Menzel's character's last name is King for
So both my co-hosts are frozen on my end, and I suspect they may have lost power. We're going to find out in just a second. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I think they did lose power. I might mug for a second and see if we get them back. Oh yeah, we lost everybody. All right, I'm gonna stay on for a couple minutes and see if we pull everybody back. I love Charlotte King. She is a fantastic character. It really speaks to the fact that we do not get enough female characters with southern accents in contexts like this where you would not otherwise see them. And it is one of the things I find most refreshing about the character. It's not that you don't often get characters who have southern accents, but just like in they're in LA, nobody else has a southern accent. But nobody ever treats her like she's like a hayseed or anything like that. And they make occasional jokes about it, but I don't know. It's just like there's something about it that's very, very, she's a strong character. And I enjoy watching that, just like that interaction with somebody who has a bit of a fish out of water position in the group just by virtue of how she sounds. I don't know. I'm buying time here. I'm waiting to hear from Nico and Kevo. But I also don't have the we got Kevo back, so I think yes, here we go. That's okay. We're so happy to have you back. Oh, you got the whole thing back. Yay.
Yeah, no, internet's back. Everything's back. We're back.
But you did you
ready to go.
Did you guys lose power, or did you just lose internet?
Just internet, yeah.
Amazing. Oh, hi there. What a perfect way to come back. This character sucks, and he gets a D, and he's the worst. He is so hot. I would kiss his mouth like it was my job. I hate him so much, and that's all I have to say about that.
I feel terrible because I wish that I found him beautiful. I kind of famously don't love blondish twinks. It's just never been my thing. I like a guy with a little bit more dark features, and he clearly has them, but they go out of their way to hide them. And then all of a sudden, one day they decide he's going to be a man, and he's a man, and it all becomes about that he's got a daughter, and he tries to age up and get a better job, and they just sort of drop that he's in love with Naomi. There's no focus. There's such a lost sense of inability to express the identity of the character that there's no way to like him or really hate him. I can't really give him. Oh, wow, Kevo, thank you for pulling up that image to compare to the later
and so
image.
many of these early images were like he's in flip-flops.
Yeah, way to show feet
at the beginning of the show where he's walking through the office in just a bathing suit, literally just no shoes, feet on mane. What is that? Like, he was genuinely kind of almost too much a literal child at the start. It was bizarre.
And I
never break out of it. Go ahead.
I would have loved if they had done, if they just kept stealing from Scrubs and actually like pulled an Elliot and identified like, oh, this person is in one episode, like having a kind of breakdown where they realize they need to grow up and like actually identify the fact that they were, if not like literally a child before, because he's not literally a child, that he needs, it's now time for him to grow up. And like maybe they even rib him for it a bit. Maybe they make fun of him a little bit. Like, oh, look, you finally cut your hair. Like, oh, look, you're actually getting a job. But you got to call out the elephant in the room. And it really is a big part of it for me is the fact that they're just like, oh, I don't know, like something happened over the last 2 weeks because that was only how long our season break was. And now he's a man, and now he's like in charge of the hospital, of the practice, and talks to vendors, where before he was like kind of just their receptionist. I don't know. And on top of that, he sucks. I hate him. It's a D.
Nico, did you? I don't remember what you gave.
A CD, somewhere in there. I think I hit D, but
I'm going to say C just because I think that's another one that I feel kind of sorry for. Someone I don't
Okay.
generally feel sorry for.
Yeah, this is a cabsterisk, which is a cab plus asterisk because they make him multiple types of cop within like 4 episodes. If you do not understand the industry, do not put the love interest in it. This guy, I think he's just like cop to SWAT overnight. And what sucks is David Sutcliffe is a really beautiful man. He is probably best known for playing Christopher Hayward over on Gilmore Girls, where he is Lorelai's dad with the most beautiful set
Rory's
of
dad.
abs. Oh my god, thank you. Yikes. Because
Technically Lorelai.
Lorelai's dad actually does in fact show up on Grey's Anatomy when Edward Herman shows up as a new doctor doing his internship in, I guess, Jen, right?
Wait, is that that early?
Yeah, it's season 5.
Oh my god.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this character sucks. There's nothing here. It is just a beautiful set of abs. I've had those relationships where like I even know there's not a lot going on. We're just really interested in each other's physicality. So it leads to a lot of arguments. It leads to a lot of lack of substance. You can see that that's what they're doing, and that actually makes it feel like a waste of a great actor because we recognize what they're doing, and it's not just you're doing it to Addison, you're doing it to David Sutcliffe, who would be an amazing doctor on Private Practice, an amazing doctor over on Grey's Anatomy, and instead he is the shitty love interest who's so underdeveloped that you don't even understand his industry well enough to really make a story out of it. And you use shooting him as an arc.
I give him a C just because he's really cute and the character is kind of charming, and I felt like had good chemistry with Addison. But the fact that he's a cop, that's like most of the points off. The fact that they don't really know what to do with him, that's the rest of them. And so we're kind of just left with cute, and we love David Sutcliffe. Do we? I don't know.
You know, I want to love David Sutcliffe, and if I'm probably going to err more on the side of D, but it is a D plus, and it is a very naughty D. We'll give it that. And this is not, so there has to be something beautiful down there at the bottom, doesn't there?
I give Sheldon a C.
Oh God.
No, he's like actually
I'm
a decent guy, and he's like, I want to be here for you for your baby, even if you don't pick me. And he puts Violet first, even though Violet is gross. And he puts the baby first, even though the baby is, ew, it's a baby. Gross. Ew, babies are so gross. No human being is
kidnapped.
No human being is really worth having a full conversation with until like 20. Then you can do more than yes, thank you. No, I don't need any help with the self-checkout. Thank you. That's otherwise the full conversation. And it's usually me on the other side being like, yes, please, can I help you at this self-checkout? But no, Sheldon's rough. But at least he tries. And that's when you cast a really talented actor who's distinctive looking, it's important to make sure that the character is endearing. This character is at least endearing, even if it endears you toward the end of the series.
I think, yeah, if anything, I want to give him then a hopeful C, knowing he is going to stick it out. But I think he could land at, because I get you, I really do. And I see potential in this character, and I know he's going to stick it out. But if and when we do a part 2 where we revisit these characters, it might end up being a D at the end of this. So this is like a C minus.
I give him a B. I think he's funny and fun, and I just like adding one more person to the '05 X-Men of it all, as Nico pointed out before.
Yes.
He's so dumb and terrible, and
It's Grant's show. It gets an A.
I mean, I can't give him an A because the character's really terrible. But Grant Show, I do love Grant Show so much. Yeah, I when they're all in the mix, it's very fun, and yeah.
I agree that I can't give him an A either because of what they ultimately do with his character, and not only that, but like the wasted potential of him not becoming a more significant figure, because I love that introduction and I think he could have played a much better character than the one that they wrote. And I lament that loss of potential. That would have made him at least an A, if not an S class character. So
what's really funny is Chris Carmack, who always reminds me of Grant Show, is actually going to go and be on Grey's Anatomy, and I feel like is kind of what could have been for Grant Show.
I get that. I really do.
Yeah.
I love that the average rating total results so far has Pete and Del as the bottom.
Adios, garbage men.
Well, and I love that when you take a look, the only 400%, totally 1000% belongs at S is for Bailey. So I think that's really exciting. She's the only person unquestionably in the lead, and everybody else is kind of questionably up there. Unshockingly, it's Meredith and Derek. So who's, their couple name obviously has to be Meredith.
Deredith.
That's exhausting.
Goodness.
Very exhausting.
I think the A's all make sense. I think the B's all make sense. The C's all make sense. And the fact that there's so few D's is a really positive. I really like that. I think that talks about why we chose to do this ranking episode. It's a flawed universe filled with great characters. I'm really excited to see where they go next. I can't wait to keep catching up. We're actually going to sign off of this to go watch more, so it's not like we're not going to keep doing the homework. All in all, I think the character I'm most excited to see more from is Arizona, because so many of the other characters that I love or gave S's to, I clearly understand their trajectory in one way or another. So she's one of the only things where I get to be excited. How about you guys?
Kevo, you go first.
I am now branching into territory that is all brand new for me. So, and I know spoilers. But it is still a lot of reacting to these things live. Like when Nurse Olivia was one of the people that was let go. I gasped. I cried a little bit. She's an original background, but still major character, and so I am really interested to see how all of these twists and turns play out, how things that I know might play a little bit differently on screen than they played when I read about them. Like George's death was not what I remembered thinking that it was, so that all felt very different. This is very exciting, and if anything else, I love the fact that it is this period piece. What they talk about in this arc in season 6 is everyone knows what the economy is like. The previous season they were talking about it's hard to buy a house. Like they were talking like all these things that this was all in the zeitgeist, and so I'm excited to see how these things will continue to play across the seasons.
And I'm really excited in the catch up of it all to sort of see all of the spaces in which some of the characters that are coming up are about to fill things up. We've lost George and Izzy at this point, and that's two kind of structurally fundamentally big parts of the show. So I am very excited because it's not a 1-for-1. They never are like, well, this girl's the new Izzy and that guy's the new George and we're done. It is right. They expand the ensemble.
Because the guy is the new Izzy and the girl is the new George.
They flipped the scripts. They did the old switcheroo on you. It's very interesting watching how the show really fundamentally adjusts itself based on how much circumstances have changed, and it really is not just well, now we have 2 new residents and we're good. The cast is back to equilibrium. It really is a big expansion and exploration as time goes on, and it's fun to watch.
I love that. I know we've got a lot of really exciting content coming your way. More amazing rankings, more unbelievable queer content, more continuity-based, multi-franchise, multi-series explorations. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to check out my and TK's separate college theses, but because Kevo is the producer, he'll be smart enough not to upload that one. But I'm kidding. None of that. But I would love to know more about these webisodes. Now, TK, as somebody who understands webisodes intimately, how do you feel about the validity, not even necessarily how important they are, but the validity of the inclusion of the Grey's webisodes? Because Kevo and I maintain the happy ending episode length webisode series, Happy Rides, is literally one of the best episodes of the entire series, bar none.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the webisodes for this show?
I do not feel that it amounts to some of the best content, bar none.
Well, then.
I think webisodes of that time live much better in comedy. And they just, even for a show like The Office, which is really lore based and has a lot of continuity involved, there's still a lot you can do with just comedy. With Grey's, it just sort of is like, well, we know we're not going to put anything that super matters into this, because what if our audience that needs to know why this thing is happening next week doesn't see the webisode? So they're fine. They're not super special to me.
All right. Well, Kevo, where can everybody find you on the internet if they want to find more of your webisodes?
Well, you can find me over on the socials at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY. Keek, where can the folks want to find you?
You can find me at TK Elemental. Nico, where can the folks find you?
Nico Action, that's NICOACTION, if you want the man, the myth, the legend, the t-shirt trope. But if you want the musician, the producer, the composer, the arranger, that's Nico Action Music, NICOACTIONMUSIC. If you want more of our amazing stuff, that's X's for show. But we would really love it if you guys would like, comment, and subscribe on your favorite social media and or media platforms. We love to give you guys everything we can, whether it's podcasts, videos, tweets, or more. Also, don't forget, we have 3 things we love for you guys to do for us every single episode. Now, that's number 1, stay safe. We want to see you guys next time. But number 2, please be brave, because who you are is incredible. And while we're talking about you and how incredible you are, number 3 is please evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, like we said, incredible. The real French shit, and we can't wait to see that. So until next time, we'll see you.